Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. There have been some new alchemy changes, and with those changes, Wizards has given us a free alchemy event to test out any cards in alchemy, whether or not we own them in our collection or not. So this is a great event for anybody who's been wanting to try out a new standard or alchemy deck but doesn't want to throw all the wild cards at it. I absolutely love it. Every time they bring these events around, I think they're just always a really great way for people to, again, just get to test decks out before having to go through the commitment of spending wild cards on them. Plus, it gives players like me the ability to just play around with random fun constructed decks that I would never craft in the first place, since I just generally don't play much constructed. So this way I get to do it with no real entry fee. And we also do get some free prizes alongside that. For our first 3 wins, we will get 1 random rare, then 1,000 experience, and then another random rare. And of course, the random rares could be mythic rares as well to add to your collection. So I absolutely recommend hopping into this event no matter what kind of player you are, at least just for the 3 wins, to get some random rare cards there. And yeah, to have some fun along the way. So the deck I will be playing today is a net deck from MTGA Zone. I am not affiliated with them in any way, I just like the site a lot. This was a deck built by Daarken, who builds a million decks on there. I don't know how he does it, but this is going to be an aggressive mono black zombies tribal deck, and the new cards, the new rebalance cards we'll be using this time around are Hobbling Zombie, which now costs 1 mana cheaper, so now it's a 2 mana 2/2 Death Touch that spits out a 2/2 Decayed Zombie when it dies. Really good deal. And then the Death Priest of Merkel, which is now a 3/3 instead of a 2/2. And you don't have to spend any mana to spit out that skeleton token during your end step. So a really nice zombie, skeleton, or vampire lord now. So we're going to be using that as a way to buff our whole field and add to it with a bunch of little skeletons. So some really cool new rebalanced cards. Other than that, it's all the classic, just standard zombie tribal stuff. The 4 champion of the Parished to get bigger as you are casting more zombies. The shambling ghasts that just have really good death triggers. We've got Tainted Adversary, which can get kicked for a bunch of additional mana to spit out a bunch of additional decayed zombies. Jadar, that'll make sure we keep getting a decayed zombie every single turn to bash our opponent with or sacrifice to something. We have Infernal Grasp and the Meat Hook Massacre for some good interaction. Infernal Grasp being able to destroy any creature, and the Meat Hook Massacre being able to be a whole board wipe that also drains life from our opponent in the process. We've got some Fell Stingers to draw some cards, and some Headless Riders to keep our board absolutely full with zombies, even as all of our other zombies die. We also have Agadeem's Awakening, which is basically our 23rd and 24th land, but if we draw this in the late game and we already have enough lands, we get to cast this as a really big reanimator effect. Then, of course, we've spoken on the Death Priest. Really nice buffs in the new Alchemy update for that card. And at the top end, we have our 1 Planeswalker in the deck. 2 copies of Lolth, Spider Queen, which is nice in this deck because we have so many decayed tokens. We have a little bit of sacrificing going on with Fellstinger. So we have a lot of ways for Lolth to get bigger pretty quickly, getting the loyalty counters as creatures die. And she can also just spit out quite a bit of board presence really quickly. 2 2/1s with Menace is pretty threatening when you're adding that to a board state that already has some other random like 2/2 zombies or something. Plus, of course, card draw engine. Once we run out of cards, just keep using that 0 loyalty ability. So really nice deck here. Again, from MTGA Zone, from Daarken. I'll have a link to exactly where I got this deck list, but I am a huge fan of the site in general. And yeah, you should definitely check it out. So without further ado, let's go grab our 3 wins for the day, shall we? Alright, here we are, game 1 on the play. I'll definitely keep this with Agadeem's Awakening to play as a land. We get to curve out a little bit here with a turn 2 Hobbling Zombie into a turn 3 Headless Rider, followed up with another Headless Rider. So if the first one or anything else dies, we're getting 2 2/2 zombies. Could be pretty wild. Let's get our Hobbling Zombie down here. Probably should have just played my Agadeem's Awakening turn 1 tapped so I didn't have to pay any life into it. But I was getting a little greedy there, hoping to maybe draw another land. Because if we do hit another land, we don't need much more than 3-4 mana here. I could see a Meat Hook Massacre for 1 being profitable here. Would that be better than just dropping down a Headless Rider? I kind of think it would. If I drop down a Headless Rider, it's a 3-1. It's going to be stonewalled by these 1-1s. If I just kind of Meat Hook Massacre here, I slow our opponent down quite a bit. And the board is clear for just a moment here. Get rid of some of their life gain synergies going on there. Definitely looks to be a green-white life gain deck that we're playing against here. Expect a lot of Ajani's Pridemate style creatures, the Celestial Unicorn that gets counters as they gain life, the Trelasara that gets counters as they gain life and scries. Inquisitor Captain is the play here. Pulls out 2 random creatures. Seek 2 creatures of mana value 3 or less, put 1 on the battlefield and the other into your library. Okay, and they grab Trelasara there, so they are definitely green-white life gain. Could play a Headless Rider, or we could play Jadar plus Adversary if I play Agadeem Awakening untapped. It says Death Touch, so it still attacks in well. That's pretty nice. I think I just want to play a Headless Rider here, so I can just send the Hobbling Zombie in and be pretty okay with it, whatever it trades for. Trade up into a slightly bigger creature, the Inquisitor Captain, or trade into their kind of build-around card, Trelasara. Alright, there's Lunarch Veteran here. Not be surprised to see this Trelasara start getting really big. Impassioned Orator as well. They will be gaining 2 life every time they play a creature from now on, triggering Trelasara 2 times. They've scried to the top, so whatever's there is something they're looking for. Definitely looking to draw a targeted removal spell like Infernal Grasp to get Trelasara out of here. Meat Hook Massacre would be too expensive to wipe what we need, although we did just draw land. So now, technically, if we had a Meat Hook Massacre, we could -3/-3 if we just held on to this one. But 1 turn from now, everything's going to be too big again. We just hold off with the Hobbling Zombie here. I think that's the plan. Just leave our Hobbling Zombie back so we can block Trelasara if they attack in with it. Block with a Death Touch blocker. Now we have quite the board state. We can keep attacking in with a Decayed Zombie token each turn, and every time it dies, our opponent loses a life, and then we get it right back anyway. Not really going to make much of a dent against a life gain deck, but no reason not to do it, since Jadar will keep replacing the Decayed Zombie. Seems to be the best we have here. Alright, we'll see what kind of combat tricks they have in their deck. See if they have a way to save Trelasara here, if they just have another in hand because she is legendary. And we do trigger about 1,000,000 cards here from one of our creatures dying. Because that double Headless Rider. Again, new, they're just going to board wipe, get rid of all our stuff there. Which is not the worst thing in the world, because again, double Headless Rider. Get a bunch of 2/2s still and drain them for a bunch of life. We do have a worse board state than we did before, but our opponent also has no board state, so pretty dang fine with that. And we will kick the adversary once, and that is the concession from our opponent. They are down to 3 life, and every time they kill one of our creatures, they're going to lose 1. So they would need to kind of immediately get back in with a lot of life gain there. The Wrath effect did not pan out how they wanted. But that really shows the power of all the death rattle triggers in the zombies decks. And our random rare reward is Unexpected Conversion. It is an alchemy rare, so I'm going to assume all of the random rewards here are going to be alchemy rewards. Alright, we are on the play here with double Champion of the Parished in hand. This is going to be an aggressive hand here. Very big fan of this. These cards get bigger every time you play a zombie. They get a +1/+1 counter. Cleric class from our opponent. So it looks like we're probably against another green-white life gain deck. They are like the most popular deck on Arena, I would say. If you average out the entire player base of Arena, because it feels like everybody, when they boot up Arena, is like, I want to play life gain. Oh, this is... Got some more alchemy cards than the other one we saw, though. Angel of Unity being the first play. Flying lifelink when it enters the battlefield, or you cast a party spell. Choose a party creature in your hand and it gets +1/+1. Permanently. Perpetually. So now do I want to just Fellstinger? It's a zombie scorpion that puts a counter on there. We can attack with both. And I don't really want to draw any cards anyway, but I think that's fine. A little awkward not having the second Champion of the Parished out, but felt it was better to put a nice little Death Toucher out. Otherwise, this turn we'd play Fellstinger Hobbling Zombie, and one of our champions would just be a 2/2 that can't attack into the Angel. I don't know. Either way, seems like it would be solid. So here's a Righteous Valkyrie with +1/+1 from the Angel of Unity. So it's a 3/5, really big blocker there. And they get to gain a bunch of life whenever they play an Angel or Cleric. Gain life equal to that card's toughness. We're just going to drop a Death Priest here. Buff our whole field +1/+1. Everything's big enough to attack in now. The champion will bounce off. The Death Touchers would trade. And if one of our creatures dies here, we do get a Skeleton token out of the Death Priest of Miracle. I really like the buff on Death Priest. Makes it a way cooler card. Definitely seems more like a rare power level card in terms of limited playability now. 3/3 instead of 2/2, triggering the ability without having to pay any mana for it. Here's a Voice of the Blessed from our opponent. So I guess this one looks like a mono white life gain deck. But the zombies are coming in hot here. Dawnbringer Cleric as well. Voice of the Blessed now a 5/5. Quite large. And they're up to 15 because the Cleric they just played had a high toughness. Yeah, this is a really bad time now. Voice of the Blessed is flying in the sky here. You could play the Death Priest to buff our whole field +1/+1, or we could play Jadar and Champion. That would buff the Champion +1/+1. It would still not attack in, so I think it's better to just play another Death Priest here. And I think we have to just get as aggressive as possible. Whatever creature dies here, we get a skeleton out of it at least. Potentially 2 skeletons if both our Death Priests remain on board. This looks pretty good to me. Hit them for 9 and get 2 skeletons. That being said, we are quite likely to just die here now. They have 10 damage in the sky already. They just need a little bit more life gain to turn that into 15 damage. Voice of the Blessed getting a counter every time they gain life. I guess the Righteous Valkyrie will only buff the field if they go up to 27 life. She's probably not dead this turn. but we've only got one more turn to find lethal on our opponent. And it doesn't look like it's happening here, with all the life gain stacking up. Down to 7. They're at 13 now, and get another counter on both of the Voice of the Blessed. And foretold a card. Definitely like Headless Rider before I just like jam in here. Seems like Jadar's pretty pointless. Let's play a Champion of the Perished and then Headless Rider to get as many counters on the champion as possible, just in case we somehow get to survive one more turn. But I don't think that's a thing. If nothing else, we can get a bunch of Headless Rider triggers here and then make our Champion of the Perished really big before we die to these flyers. But unfortunately, none of the removal here means we are going to die to some flyers. Alright, so it looks like we're hitting for 8 here, putting them to 5 life. Clear out a few of their creatures, but not enough of their flyers to survive. Get some tokens here, make our champion bigger. But again, no blocks in the sky means that is game. Third game of the day here. Very wrathy hand. Double Meathook Massacre. Only 2 mana. Lots of 3 mana stuff and a 4 mana card. I think I want to mulligan this one. And this looks far more keepable to me. I think a 5 mana Lulth here. I might get rid of Agadeem's Awakening. Get our turn 1 Shambling Gas down. That can spit out a treasure token for us when it dies. Let us cast our Lulth a little earlier. We are just going to roll out the Tainted Adversary turn 2 to curve out. Especially when we've got the Headless Rider in hand now. So when that trades off, we'll get a 2/2 zombie out of it. Cemetery Prowler. 3/4 Vigilance. Real big card there. It's going to only really attack in with the Death Toucher here. I would like to send in the Rider first. Actually, we can attack him with the Ghast 2 and just get the treasure token and a 2/2 out of it. Yeah, no, this is actually great. Get a treasure token and a 2/2 here. We just slam down champion, but I'd rather be able to cast Lulth next turn. We've got no more zombies in hand to work with the champion, but it will trigger off the tokens the Headless Rider makes as well. Ovenwald Oddity. Alright. Looks like just like mono green stompy stuff here, beating us down. So what does this do? Spells they cast cost 1 less for each card type they share, so their creatures cost 1 less as long as the Prowler's down. Could trade both of these into it. We'd get our 2/2 zombie back. I think that's worth it to me. Stop them from reducing the cost of their stuff and get that out of the way for our attacks. Ooh, double champion. Rather Lulth or double champion here. If I Lulth and minus her, Ovenwald Oddity just snipes her. At the same time, I could just hold back Tainted Adversary. I think I really want to do that.
Darkness will
Could just draw the card too.
I always reward the loyal.
Guess I am gonna just defend Lulth here with the adversary. They've got some fight spell in hand or something. A bite spell, I should say. A spell that lets their creature deal damage equal to its power. And then Lulth is dead. Looks like they're just making the oddity bigger and shooting our blocker there, so there goes Lulth.
Be denied. fall into my web again.
Right. Champion. Champion. Headless Rider. We are playing off the top, but luckily we have at least the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. If we just hit a land, we can attack with a 3/3 Menace as well. An old growth troll from our opponent. They definitely have the beef. Definitely have beefier stuff than us, that's for sure. Take that 5, go to 10 here. Another Headless Rider, that is pretty excellent. We played that pre-combat attack with just the 4/4, I think. What happens if I attack with everybody here? If I attack with everybody, they kill Champion of the Parished. Oh, well now they made it a 5/5. Well, now I definitely attack with everybody. That's going to be a 5/5 anyway. Then I lose a creature either way. And here we get the 2/2/2s. The 2/2/2s to block with, and of course make the remaining champion bigger. Might have been a risky attack there, because if they just didn't block, they might be able to lethal us with Trample. They'd need a removal spell to do it. They could just removal spell the untapped Headless Rider and then lethal us. Actually, no, they couldn't. They'd need a pump spell specifically, because if it was... well, let's just hope that's enough to stop a combat trick from killing us. Anyways, if it was a removal spell that they used on the untapped Headless Rider, after just not blocking anything, then we'd still spit out, you know, some zombies with their abilities before they get to attack in. So there's the concession from our opponent. We're now 2-1, just need one more victory to get all our prizes. And of course, I forgot to mention it, but this is one of those events where it doesn't matter how much you lose, you get to play as much as you want, so definitely just hop in, make whatever kind of silly, stupid deck you want to play. Does not matter too much here. Nice chill event, which is going to be a nice change of pace because tomorrow is the limited arena open for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, so that is going to be a very stressful event for me for tomorrow's video. Alright, we've got 2 mana and a Tainted Adversary. We really need to hit a land here, but if we do, good lord, this hand is spicy. Just gonna play Takenuma, show off with my really cool artwork. Delver of Secrets, turn 1 from our opponent. And they have an instant or sorcery on top of their library. They'll flip that, make it a 3/2 flyer for only 1 mana. Alright, they failed to find on the first turn, and so they just pass. But we Headless Rider and then attack in. We hit a 4th mana, we get to play Champion and then Fellstinger afterwards. See if they have some kind of counterspell here. Looks like a no. Send in that adversary. And they are down to 18 now. Three mana up. Delver of Secrets number 2. The first one has still not flipped yet. We don't hit another mana. I think I'd like to just slam down another Headless Rider over the Champion of the Parished. We've seen how good duplicates of Headless Rider can be in both of our games that we won, I think. So I want to offer the trade with a Headless Rider. They trade a Delver into it and we get 2 2/2s. I don't think, not yet, I think. I think I'd be willing to do that once I have like a Champion of the Parished on the board as well. Four mana from our opponent now. They're still failing the Delver flips Pretty rough for our opponent here. Dream Shacklegeist, real annoying card here at the beginning of combat on their turn. They can keep a creature tapped down or tap a creature. So they'll just keep that Tainted Adversary locked down so they don't have to worry about that coming at them here. We're definitely going to need this land. Let's pay the life so we can go Champion first and then Fell Stinger. Draw a couple cards off our adversary and spit 2 zombies out with it. Champion of the Parished is having a lot of fun here. Just a 4/4 the turn we played it. Drawn to, ooh, Death Priest and a land. That is really nice. This Death Priest is going to be wild next turn. We're in a threatening enough position here. I'm just going to send the Headless Riders in here. Every single one they trade with is going to be 2 more 2/2s, which is 2 more counters on the champion as well. And then we slam down a Death Priest. Every 2/2 that we have is a 3/3 now. So for every block they make, they're turning one of our creatures into 2 creatures. Which when we have a card that buffs our entire field is going to just translate into more damage next turn. Make it really likely to find lethal. And our opponent understands that and they don't even take a trade there. They do not want to give us 2 2/2s apiece. They do flip the Delvers into Insectile Aberrations now. So they've got a couple 3/2 flyers alongside their 3/1 Dream Shacklegeist. They kill us in 2 hits if we can't kill them next turn. They do have an Essence Capture as their card they drew to flip the Delvers, which is really rough because if they hold 2 mana up, then we know we don't get to use our Death Priest of Merkle anymore to get extra damage in. They're currently dead on board. So I think what we have to do here is just attack in and then hope they go down to like 2 life so we can finish them off with a Fell Stinger after whatever tricks they do. So if I cast Death Priest of Merkle, that's all my mana. They do Essence Capture and then do whatever they need for 3 mana to survive. If I do it the other way around, they might not realize that they need to hold mana up to survive. But I don't know, maybe whatever spell they're trying to survive with costs more than 3 mana. If it does, then we could just slam down Death Priest main phase 1, get them to spend 2 mana on Essence Capture, and they only have 3 mana up so they can't survive. That's a possibility. I think it's more likely whatever they're trying to do to survive might like tie up their mana and then get them down to 2. Well, now I'm real confused. Currently we're just attacking for lethal. Maybe they just don't have an out here. They just wanted to push in for all the damage they could before they get out of the game here. They have to deal with 2 of our creatures. I can't see how they could deal with 2 of our creatures for like less than 5 mana. But I guess it's alchemy, so who knows? Could be all kinds of wild cards. Oh yeah, Marcher Swirling Mist. That'll deal with 3 of them. They're down to 6. Well, yes, I guess they win no matter what then. Because if I tried to cast the Death Priest, they counter it, and then they can still march for... Right, like they targeted 3 of their own cards, so they would just not target their own cards that way. They would just phase out 2 less cards, so they'd phase this, and 1 zombie. Instead of the 3 of their own plus these 3. So yeah, we couldn't win no matter what then. That is gonna be game. Guess I can see if I draw like an Infernal Grasp, but then I'm still dead. Yep, nope. That is game. This hand seems really fun. Shambling Ghast into Hobbling Zombie into Death Priest of Merkel. And it's a Tiefling Cleric. I love that there's just Tieflings in Magic now. Don't play a lot of D&D, but the little bit of Dungeons & Dragons I've played was very cool. Blow up the Ghast. I am 100% okay with this. That was the Ghast plan, was to just let us cast a Death Priest a turn early. Get our Hobbling Zombie out, and then next turn we play a Death Priest, and the turn after that we play a Death Priest. Also very okay with this. This zombie gives us a Decayed Zombie when it dies, so we've still got stuff on board. Roiling Vortex. So if we cast any spells for free, we take 5. Not super worried about that. Get our Death Priest out here. Then we get to attack in with the Decayed Zombie as a 3/3 now, and then turn it into a skeleton in our end step if they don't have a 1 mana 3 damage burn spell to kill the Death Priest. Which I'm sure there is some kind of like narrow one. I don't think in standard there is. Fourth mana from the mono red deck here, Moonrager Slash. There's the narrow 1 mana 3 damage spell. It just has to be nighttime to cast it for only 1. And here we go again. We just cast another Death Priest. Attack with a 2/2 skeleton. And opponent's going to scoop them up. Only 2 cards left in hand at this point. I guess it's not what they need to survive another Death Priest. So that is going to be our 3rd win. And we'll see what our final random rare is. But that is going to end the event for today. Definitely recommend hopping in. It ends in 25 hours. So by the time you're seeing this, it will end tomorrow. So definitely hop in, get your free stuff, and maybe try out some decks. Wait, what do you mean new? I already have a playset of Townraiser Tyrant. I know that for sure. Because I used the Mono Red Dragons in the Alchemy Decathlon event. Hopefully that gave me gems for that, because that's my 5th copy of Townraiser Tyrant for sure. Little strange. I can double check here before I sign off for the day. Yep, that's definitely my 5th copy. Well, I hope my gem count was adjusted there. I don't know. I'll double check in the video, but that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and if you'd like to see more of this, just stick around on the channel. We've got the Arena Open this weekend. That video will be out tomorrow or the next day, depending on how much editing I've got to do for it. And then hopefully we'll day 2 the Arena Open. So that will be a very competitive Kamigawa limited event. It will be sealed day 1, traditional draft. That's best of 3 draft day 2. So very excited about that. And that's coming up this weekend. Other than that, some more just regular Kamigawa limited stuff and whatever cool arena events show up in the meantime. So once again, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.